I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Ladies and gentiles, as I, Dick Thunder Lips, here with your DTF Recaparoo, fresh off a turkey hangover.
Are you too hungry? Trent, can you bring the double stuffed? This is like a Big Mac. This is like a Big Mac of cookies.
Cause you have to twist them. What are you doing? And don't sprinkle your fingers.
And this double stuffed edition.
Come on, give me the double stuff.
We're going to give you a quick recap of week 11 that was missed while Dick was busy stuffing his face. You know Dick loves stuffing things where they belong or don't belong. I don't even know what that means, folks. But without further ado, let's take a look as we saw frankly, one day at a time. Matthew J. Segovia picking up another dub over Obi-Wan Mahomey, dropping 112.8 to 103.9er, with the big performance actually from Etwan Moore on Matthew's squad, and Devontae Adams very game, but just not enough juice there for Al as he goes down to Matt. Matt picked up another big dub. I guess that day was another one day at a time. That day was that day. My team hates me. Meanwhile, Mr. Tyree picking up the big dub over his daddy, Adrian, dropping 118 to 100 as the New England defense rides him to victory with 28 redonkulous points, beating out Mr. Cheesehead himself with 33. And, the big old Packer fan, Adrian, going down to Tyree. These two, an epic jaunt between daddies here. Meanwhile, Alfredo drops another one to Stephen Naramore, all dance fault, scoring 100 on the back of a hearty Bengal Joe Mixon. As Freddie only musters 74. The slide continued for poor Alfredo in what was a heartbreaking second half of the year. But nobody more heartbroken than Ricky G dropping another one as he faced C. Jizzle. A heartbreaking loss, 147 to 141. Juice and Jefferson did everything he could, but too much for the combo of Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler as CJ continues his reign of terror despite being married and going on honeymoons. The siege.
Hold up there. Those Protoss cannons will tear us a new one if we try to advance. Juan, you promised me siege tanks. Where are they?
Ready to roll out! Fire!
Get the fuck out of the room! I'm playing Minecraft!
It didn't matter that Ricky put down the legs, Gary, siege tank mode, ready to roll out. It wasn't enough against C. Jizzle, sadly enough. And the Professor Ito exuding his dominance, beating Zachariah 104 to 59. A huge disappointing performance for Zach, who's these two teams get ready to jaunt into the playoffs. And frankly, this just set the tone. Professor didn't score that well, but the dominance still there riding the back of Zachariah Ertz. Zach on Zach violence, and that was the secret. Meanwhile, home improvement, Jay Sizzle continued his reign of terror. He crapped all over Danny Boy, thanks to the hottest of hot sauce performances. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the namesake of Jay Sex, put the entire franchise on his back and scored a redonkulous 51.9 points. So it didn't matter that Danny Boy finally had his full power team of McCaffrey, Cook, and Evans, because that's all she wrote. As we get ready with only 1 week left in the playoffs, this week set the tone, and we start things off with Obi-Wan Mahomey, Jose Valdez, beating up poor Danny Boy one more time, 89-79, folks. Another heartbreaking L for Don't Call It a Comeback, LL. We won't, because it wasn't a comeback. As C-Mac and Cook both went down and are likely goners, folks. Danny Boy's dreams of a vicious bowl comeback season probably gone. But, hey, Obi-Wan Mahomey turned to Carson Wentz, the QB that Danny Boy dropped, and he beat him with his own dude, folks, to get it done. He hit him with his own pimp.
What is this shit, nigga?
You can't harm me. Are you a fucking ass? Do you not know who I am? He must not know who I am. I'm the juggernaut, bitch. I'm gonna hit you with your own pimp. I'm bad. I'm the baddest motherfucker in the world.
Anywho, heartbreaking L for Danny Boy, dropping him into last place at 2-10, and Obi-Wan Mahomey 5-7. Meanwhile, no chance in hell. C. Jizzle puts the final nail in Fitz and the Tantrums Zacharias team, winning 97-80. CJ going to 8-4, Zach going to 7-5. And boy, has it been a roller coaster of a year. But again, C. Jizzle riding the 1-2 punch of Charger might that is Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler, folks. And, Zach just couldn't quite get it done with them cards on a bye, missing two of his biggest weapons, and a heartbreaking L down the stretch for Zach. And we'll get more about that in the standings, folks. Meanwhile, Professor Ito continues to his Cinderella run, folks. The magic won't stop. He scores $118. His opponents only 90. Alfredo's playoff tailspin continued as Los Muchachos send playoffs. Take another L, dropping to 5-7. Oscarito going to 10-2, despite the shitiest performance ever from Lamar Jackson. Leonard Fournette decided to put on his Jonathan Taylor pants and give you the hot sauce performance of the week with 40.6.
Spicy!
Despite getting the goose egg from Austin Hooper and the crappy performance from Lamar Jackson, it was more than enough to put down Freddie's squad. And a tough luck loss again for Freddie as he's eliminated from the playoff. A ruse. Meanwhile, as we move right along, ready to roll out, Ricky G's siege tank is still embedded as he drops yet another L. Folks, only scoring 92. Like his bench, he's out. Adrian still gets the dub, going to 6-6 with $128. The cheesehead again. Big Packers fan Adrian trying to carry the team with 26. This guy's getting points from all over the board. Nice spread. While Ricky G just continues to scratch his head and wonder what could have been in a heartbreaking fantasy season, up and down. Jalen Hurts with his hurtiest performance of the year with only 6 points. What is going on in the NFL, folks? I don't know. You know who does know is Jay Sizzle, but not this week. J-Sex with a tough L to Steven Naramore. He said it was all Dan's fault. He changed his team name. He went on the tear of tears, and this man is now going to be locked into a playoff spot, which again we'll talk about when we take a look at the standings, but he dropped $141 on Jay Sizzle's 120. J-Sex could have played almost anyone else and got that L, but it just wasn't in the cards. Josh Allen finally doing some dirty, but hey, Jonathan Taylor didn't score a bajillion points, so what can I say? J-Sex takes the L. Steven Naramore getting all the love from the top to the bottom of the lineup. A big old Joe Mixon day. This guy carrying the team. A huge Dolphin day. 23 points from the D. And Elijah Mitchell. Where did this come from? 25. I don't even know what's going on, folks. Steven Naramore getting it done with the hoes and the hums of his team. Putting down Jay Sizzle right down the playoff stretch. We'll take a look at just what that means right after we take a look at the last matchup. A big win streak for Matthew J. Segovia here. 107.8, putting down Tyree. 107-51. Matt going to 3-9, and Tyree 6-6. Folks, one day at a time indeed. That day was indeed today. As Matthew Stafford remembered, that he's supposed to be a good QB. Good Jalen Waddle. These trades really paying dividends for Matt, tippity top to biddity bottom, as Tyree continues to be the bitch to Adrian's daddy. But hey, they're both 6-6. Who is going to finish with the better or worse record? And frankly, I don't know if it matters during the season. We'll see who in the final 4 weeks, just who tears it up and who spins into a tizzy, folks. Now let's take a look real quick at them Standaroos. With only 1 week left before the playoffs, we have now seen what would be the final race. Now, the final race is for the 4th playoff spot. The Professor in lone possession of first place with 10-2 as the record. No chance in hell. CJ in second place. The siege tank is up there, folks. All Dan's fault in third place. Steven Naramore 8-4. Again, the seeding might change, but these folks have tiebreakers. Even if they lose this week, They are still in the playoffs. Only the top 4 teams advance. Whose fate is not sealed? Jay Sizzle. Jay Sex sitting at 8-4. If Jay Sex loses, he will be knocked out of the playoffs if Zach can win. Zach dropping the last 2 weeks in a row in Heartbreakers is maybe going to lose grasp of that playoff spot right here, folks. Zach needs to win at 7-5. Jay Sex needs to lose at 8-4. Huge implications, huge week for these two. As we take a look at the rest of the teams, Adrian and Tyree, Destiny bound at 6-6 apiece. Obi-Wan Mahomey at 5-7. And the disappointing Ricky G. Chief Year at 4-8. Matthew Segovia sitting at 3-9. And Danny Boy in dead last at 2-10. Remember, these standings don't matter, folks. Once the playoffs start, the last 4 weeks will determine your final standings because whoever scores the lowest in those last 4 weeks is dead last place. Taking a quick look as the year is almost wrapped up at the points for, you will see that C. Jizzle sits atop the mountain along with Jay Sex and Steven Naramore and Oscar. What you'd expect. The teams that are popping off are also popping off record-wise. But if you look at the teams that are the most shat on, you see a little something interesting because Jay Sizzle and CJ in the top 4 are getting pooped on and yet still making the playoffs because they score so crazy. Meanwhile, look at the bottom. Oscarito scored the least on. Not shocked that this dude's got the best record. What can I say? Meanwhile, Tyree, second lowest scored on. What the F happened to your year then, folks? Anywho, with that being in mind, get those lineups in. It's the last week. Get the teams tweaked for the last 4 because that's what's going to matter, folks. The playoffs start, 2-week matchups. The Redemption Bowl, Extravaganza, Destruction Derby of Doom, whatever its full title is, starts next week. Get ready. We're finally going to use those side quest points, and we'll get into that very soon. Stay tuned for the Professorito on those deets. And until then, dicks out, baby.